Does how we talk about our illness change our illness trajectory? I'm Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com, back with Chronic Wellness. So, oftentimes when we have chronic pain and chronic illness, things like cancer as well, we speak about our illness in metaphors that are pretty violent. We talk about being a chronic illness warrior. We talk about battling, tackling, fighting. All of these ways of speaking about disease that is me against the disease, is about about fight. And I think that there's really good reason for that. Oftentimes it does feel like I am trying to work against something that is working against me. And oftentimes medical texts uses that same imagery or those same words when it talks about what's happening inside of my body. We've just been through the COVID pandemic, where we talk about the way that the virus is attacking us, or how our autoantibodies allow us to attack the virus. So I think that it's really second nature, that we hardly ever even stop to question or think about the way that we frame this. And I think it's worthwhile, particularly for those of us who are facing chronic, long-term, prolonged illness, to think about whether or not that is what works for us. Many masters have taught some version of the idea that that which we resist persists. And I'm certainly not trying to purport that the only reason we are continuing to be ill is because we're resisting it. No. And yet, I've talked before about the ways in which coming to a kind of acceptance or peace about my illness has allowed me to work with my illness in new and different ways, has allowed me to experience some relief of symptoms and some progress in ways that I hadn't had prior to that. And we have all kinds of research about the ways in which our mind and our thoughts lead what happens in our body. And so if my thoughts are on pathologizing and battling, what then does that mean for what becomes true because of the ways that I'm framing things? And I think there's also a lot of head games for those of us who are sick for a very long time about what does it mean if I'm not fighting? Am I giving up? Am I giving in? Am I acquiescing? Am I allowing? And what does it mean if I'm not actively fighting? And I guess I just want to put out there some contrary message to that. I want to say that I think there's a lot of benefit to exploring the idea of making peace with. I think making friends with might be a little more difficult, maybe a bridge too far for some of you, but exploring the possibility that these metaphors of fight and battle and working against maybe aren't the only possibilities, and what would happen if I start to see my ailments and illnesses as an extension of me, because they are, and invite them into the conversation. Maybe even do some journaling about, what is it that you need, illness? What could I be doing that might invite you to calm down? Or what changes could I make that could quiet you? I don't know, but I do know that working in these battle metaphors is not the only option. So that's my thought for today, is just to consider other possibilities besides just being in opposition to our pain and illness. What are your thoughts about that? Also, I want to remind you that I am beginning chronic wellness conversations over on Instagram, where I am having live conversations with authors and thought leaders and sick people. And the first of those was last Thursday, and it is now captured in my reels. It was with Jennifer Tabrizi, a fellow sick person. She was diagnosed with Crohn's disease back in 2012, but she has been 5 years in remission. So if that story piques your interest and you want to know more about how she's done that, or if you're interested in going to her for some health coaching, go to my IG at the Annette Leonard and check that out. And the next conversation I'll be hosting is with the author Jake Eagle, who wrote the book The Power of Awe. So stay tuned for more about that. And in the meantime, I appreciate you spending some time with me here. I hope that you are finding ways to tend to your spirit and be well.